Hey guys, what's up? I'm Sriniket. You're watching my YouTube channel Sri Productions and welcome back to the channel about the all-new FZS 25. You see, all manufacturers know really well that if you want to sell a product successfully in the Indian market, it has to offer great value for money. And that's exactly what Yamaha tried to do back in 2015 by launching the FZ25, the first generation of the FZ25, at an ex-showroom price of 1,19,000 rupees. That was simply unheard of, especially by a Japanese manufacturer, let alone Yamaha. And that was the biggest USP of this bike over its competition. Now though, in 2020, after the BS6 update, the ex-showroom price alone of this bike has risen above its on-road price, which was back then. So the question is it still worth buying over its nearly similarly priced rivals, not being priced nearly on par with all of them? Let's find out.
Stand on hallowed ground. Final stand on hallowed ground. And if we figure
Before starting the review, special thanks to Xceed Yamaha for providing me the BS6 FZS25 for a detailed review. They have all the color options for the BS6 FZS25 currently available in stock. Contact details for bookings and test ride are in the description down below. Design-wise, the BS6 compliant FZS does get a few changes like new paint schemes, a belly pan, and this S version, which according to Yamaha is touring focused, gets a new windshield and knuckle guards which are made up of plastic and not metal. The most prominent change in the design department though is the new headlamp unit. The FZ25 and the FZS25 now borrow the same LED projector unit as found on the MT15 and a horizontal LED DRL. This headlamp design might look a bit polarizing in video, but in person it's an absolute attention magnet. Done with the design, let's take a quick look at the specs. Powering the FZ25 is the same old air and oil cooled 249cc SOHC fuel injected single with a 2-valve head mated to a 5-speed gearbox. In its BS6 avatar, it produces 20.8 PS of peak power and 20.1 Nm of peak torque, which is 0.1 PS less and 0.1 Nm more than before. Is a 5-speed gearbox sufficient for touring? We'll find it out in the later part of this video. About the suspension, it gets conventional 37mm telescopic forks up front and a multi-link 7-step preload adjustable monoshock at the rear. Braking duties are carried out by 282mm disc up front and a 220mm disc at the rear with dual channel ABS as standard, which is a great thing. Tire sizes are 100x80 17 up front and 140x70 17 at the rear. It gets a diamond type frame which is the same as before with a wheelbase of 1360mm. About the weight, it's just 2 kgs heavier than the BS4 model and stands at 154 kgs wet, making it the lightest 250cc bike currently on sale in India. The ground clearance is more than adequate at 160mm and the seat height equally accessible at 795mm. Now let's check out the exhaust note of the bike before heading out for a ride. If anyone of you thinks not having a 6th gear on the FZ has made it irrelevant in current times, just take a test ride. I'm sure you'll come back impressed. That's because this bike feels as stocky as a high displacement cruiser. Keep it in the first 3 gears and irrespective of the speed, the engine pulls like crazy and it actually feels like a much more powerful bike in the city. The bottom end and mid-range grunt is really impressive. Same is the case with its gearing. You see, most of its competitors are short geared, so you constantly need to shift in traffic. But the ratios on the FZ are cleverly spaced, which has made it very tractable in the city. That, combined with the torquey nature of its engine, might as well make it the perfect city bike. And that aspect is improvised further by its lack of weight and the handling. Because trust me, once you're on the saddle for a long time in slow-moving traffic, you'll actually feel like you're riding its younger 150cc sibling. The steering is light, the bike is flickable and super light on its feet. I guess it's a perfect bike for the great Indian squid then. Jokes aside, the suspension setup is well balanced and it's definitely softer compared to the MT15. Brakes offer great feel and feedback with a sharp bite and the added safety net of dual channel ABS means total peace of mind. About its touring ability, yes, the FZ25, despite lacking a 6th gear, can comfortably cruise at 100 kph in 5th gear when the engine feels unstressed, turning at a comparatively lower 67 to 6800 rpm, at which speeds it feels decently refined and unstressed. You can push it into a 115 kph cruise, but it does feel a bit stressed doing so. The perfect cruising speed for it then is between 90 to 110 kph. But a 6th gear would really make a difference. By now, you might be thinking, oh man, it's a paid and biased review. How can it be so perfect? But trust me, it's that good in the city. About the Refinement, a decent buzz creeps in on the foot pegs, tank and seat past the mid-range. But as it is a brand new bike, the refinement levels will improve after first service. Same was the case with the gearbox, which felt a bit stiff. But again, something which will be improved after its run-in period is done. About the mileage, you can easily expect around 35 kpl if ridden sanely. And if you cruise at a constant 80 km an hour, a figure of 40 plus can be achieved easily. Alright, nothing can be perfect, and the FZ25 surely isn't. Remember, in the early part of the video, I was talking about the term value for money. Yamaha engineered this bike from the ground up to make it a VFM product. Undoubtedly, it was. Back in the days, it was launched. To do that, Yamaha did cut a lot of corners, like offering an awfully small instrument cluster and most importantly, total lack of a 6th gear. These exclusions were acceptable back then. But now, at the price point it is being offered at, it seriously lacks some features which the competition offers at around the same price. Just for instance, they definitely should have fitted the MT-15's instrument cluster on this bike. About the 6th gear, it is something which cannot be added as it will require significant re-engineering, resulting in even more price hike. The 6th gear update then isn't coming anytime soon. Should you buy it then? I'd say if you're someone who loves a talky rather than a linear rev me out kind of bike and want a perfect weapon for the city and an occasional tourer, simply can't spend 10k more to get its closest rival, the Gixxer, and want a bike which will last you for a lifetime with bulletproof reliability, go for it. But if budget isn't an issue for you, the Gixxer 250 does everything the FZ25 does a bit better. So that's pretty much it from my side. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right away, as reviews of the BS6 Gixxer 250s are coming soon, and also the sibling of this bike, which is the MT-15, the BS6 version of the NP-15. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.